Oh my god, I can't believe I'm vlogging. Hey everyone. Woo, can you hear me? Hey everyone, my name is Darian. I'm in Columbus, Ohio right now. Oh my god, am I glistening or am I sweating? I can't really tell. I'm Darian Simone Harvin, Darian Harvin. This is my first vlog. I am starting a vlog in 2018 because, well, I have a lot of interesting things I want to talk about. One, but two, I have a podcast called Am I Allowed to Like Anything? And I've always realized that as of recently, I was like, okay, I need to start putting my podcast on YouTube. But for a lot of them, I don't have actual video of the conversations. So I figured, why don't I do a video at the very beginning of them and tell you a little bit about them and also tell you about my life. So I'm in Columbus right now. That's kind of another story for another day. But basically my family lives out here, my mom's side of the family, and I've been here probably for about 3 or 4 weeks, but I live in LA. I moved to LA in November. Before then, I was working in New York. I was working in media. I was working at BuzzFeed News as a news curator. If you listen to my podcast, you'll learn more about my career too, I guess. But where I'm coming from right now is actually a screen printing place because I want to start making merch for my podcast. And so I had a bunch of different kinds of canvas bags. I gave them a bunch of different kind of canvas bags because I wanted to see the quality and I wanted to test to see what the designs would look like. And so that's what I just dropped off to him. And so I'm supposed to get them back in like 5 business days, but I think I convinced him to do them in a shorter amount of time because I need them back and I need to get this off the ground before I go back to LA. So, I didn't even tell you about my podcast or what it is or anything like that. So I started a podcast in 2016. Like 2.5 years ago, probably almost 3 years ago. I don't know. I started a podcast. It came from a conversation with a friend, and it's called Am I Allowed to Like Anything? And I talk to people about their work, their lives, how they maintain their optimism, and the things in culture they're actually loving versus all the things we know we hate. My first conversation was not in a studio. I recorded it off of my computer into Audacity. If you don't know what Audacity is, it's basically a free editing system that I learned how to use when I went to school. I went to Emerson College in Boston. And I basically decided to start the podcast based off of a conversation I had with my friend. And so my friend and a great confidant of mine. And so my friend Hunter, who at the time, she was an intern. She also went to Emerson with me. We were both living in New York City at the time. She was interning at that time. I'd already graduated. She was interning at The Observer and a bunch of media spots. Now today she is an editor at Vulture and also I would say a film critic too. And so it's so interesting because the fan is running in the background. This is really my first episode ever. And so every day I'm going to continue to put out episodes and also this daily vlog at the beginning of them. And it's so crazy to kind of reflect on episode 1 because since then the quality of my podcast has gotten so much better and I've also grown in the things that I believed in episode 1. I don't really think I believe in a lot of those things right now. So subscribe. I will be putting a new episode of my podcast on every day along with a little mini daily vlog. And leave questions or comments below. I think this is how people do it. Leave questions or comments below and subscribe. Turn on your notifications. Leave me any questions that you have below. Be rude if you feel like it, I guess. But also be nice and enjoy. Mic check 1 2 1 2. 10 9 8. You talk.
7 6. I'm feeling high, champagne fly. Work hard every day till we reach to the goal. This are for the people them we work hard. All who gone to the mark. R.I.P. to a loved one. Put your cups down high. Night the feelings right. Going on high.
Okay, here's your drink.
Alright. This is my first time ever having Hennessy.
Really? Oh, really? Oh my God!
Today,
this is very special.
Today I'm black. Today is
oh my
what
God!
it is.
Stop it! No, you've been Black Hunter. Don't say that. No, this is a very special moment. No one's making fun of you. I mean, maybe some of the people who are like, I'm not making fun of you. This is, oh my God! I feel like I'm such a. Look at this moment I'm playing in your life right now. Like, this is so. This is. I don't think influential is the right word. I think the right word is monumental. This is a monumental moment.
Yeah, this really is.
Okay, cheers.
Cheers.
Okay. It's with ginger ale. Oh, I think you need more ginger ale.
Yeah, I think I do.
Okay. So I'm not a bartender, but I actually do like to pretend that I am one. Like
we should take a class.
I should take a class, but you know what?
We should take a class.
Yeah, we
I
should
would also like to do that.
But you know what I actually want to be? A sommelier.
What is that?
That is someone who's
sous chef?
knowledgeable in wines.
There's like this like whole wine culture, I think, for like basic college girls that's just like, oh my God, get me some Moscato.
Like white girl rosé.
Yeah.
Did you see that white girl rosé?
Yeah.
And it's like, that's cute. Like, that's cute, fine, whatever. But I drink rosé. So what about me? You know? That's how I feel. Because I'm like,
I don't need like black girl rosé. I just need people who don't think that that's like a funny, clever thing.
Right. Exactly.
Like, that's like not that creative to me. I do really want to like learn more about wine. And I do want to like understand like the difference in wine and like different varieties and stuff.
And it's so fascinating. And I think the coolest part about it is like you never stop learning. Like you never stop learning about wines and about regions and different types of grapes. It's like this journey of learning.
That's true.
And that's what I like about it.
And actually, you got me started on like a really, I'm trying to like work on like source a story about like wine labels, because you told me like you wanted to like that would be like alternate reality job,
right? Like
if
all else fails, I'm gonna design wine labels for the rest of my life, which I don't think is a bad thing.
No, I think that's like so clever, and there's so many. I've been like looking at some really cool ones, and like some of them are like very graphic and like graphically designed, and then others are like just so clever and funny.
Yeah,
like not just like.
So were you looking up some? You should do a story on that.
I'm trying to. I've been actually working on the story for like a month now. I'm trying to like figure out who does what and where. And
like an angle and stuff like that.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Okay, let's try it again.
Okay.
I don't really think this is going to be any better.
Take two.
Okay.
Cheers.
It's a little better. You're going to have to deal because the cup is full now.
Yeah, it's a full cup.
Okay.
It's a full cup.
Well, I was going to, chop and skew this, but this is probably the best time for me to say hi to everybody.
Hello.
Hi. This is the first episode of my podcast. My name is Darian Harvin. I live in New York. And this is Am I Allowed to Like Anything? ? A podcast by Darian Sloan Harvin. Wait, did I tell you how, I pretty much did not come up with this idea. I mean, I'm executing it, but somebody gave me the idea and was like, I would listen to that. That's, a good concept. Did I tell you the story?
No.
Okay. So I'm sitting, whatever, someplace with Danielle, who I work with on Hardcover. Mm-hmm. And Danielle and I have, had this conversation before. We might have it when, a new product comes out, or when something happens, or when somebody puts out something new. And it's the initial response is always, a critique. Which is cool, right? People are allowed to critique things. They're allowed to think deeper. They're allowed to think about all the what ifs. But it's almost it's not cool to come out and say, I like this. It's not okay to never just, not like something and not sound mindless or intelligent or stupid or, you don't really know how to, critically think. And so I forget what we were talking about the BET Awards, which we're going to talk about later, which I know that it was more than 2 weeks ago, but I just want to make sure that it's on record that was the best award show I've seen in a few years. But anyways, I was talking to her and I was I thought it was so good, back to back to back. I watched the whole thing. And I was like, am I allowed to like anything? Like, am I allowed to experience something or try something or come across something and it's like, I like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of just wanted to do a podcast that, like, literally focused on that. And it's not even about, like, never being allowed to critique things, but more of just, like, asking questions that spark curiosity as opposed to, like, negativity. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, it makes sense. I know it makes sense. Also, shout out to Audacity, which I'm using right now. Did you ever use Audacity at Emerson?
You know I did.
Okay,
You know that
yes. Audacity's the jam, and it's free. So now this is the part where I introduce you. That's why I have my little itinerary. So Hunter, I'm really glad to have you here right now because, like, we've known each other since college, which, I mean, you're still in college. I'm no longer in college.
Thank goodness.
I know, thank goodness. Thank goodness I'm not still in college. Like, thank God for that. And I'm really excited that, like, when I asked you, you said yes, because I feel like we have great conversations all the time.
Yeah.
And Hunter, I mean, I call you Hunty, but no one else is really allowed to call you that. Like, people need to call you Hunter Harris. But Hunter is already an accomplished young writer. She works for the Berkeley Beacon. She's almost single-handedly, but along with a great team, helped to turn the Berkeley Beacon into a respectable newspaper at Emerson College. No, that's for real. When I was at Emerson, they would call me about, because, you know, I was in 85, I was in a sorority, and when they just wanted to know more about Greek life, I'd honestly be like, go fuck yourself. Like, I'm not going to let you twist my words because I know exactly what's going to happen here. I was not answering back emails from anybody from the Berkeley Beacon. I wasn't doing anything. But, wait, this is supposed to be about positivity. Okay. But anyways, that is something that I would, you know, dawn on Hunter and the team of people who you work with right now and some of the people who have come before you. And then you also intern this summer, this is why you're in New York, at The Observer and The Week, like 2 amazing publications, and you intern at both of them. And you're doing great work.
I'm trying to work into work, you know.
What's, like, your favorite piece that you've written so far, and why?
Okay, well, I mean, this is, like, an easy one. Obviously, when I interviewed Heaven and Tracy from Another Round,
yes,
that was great. And, I mean, obviously it was great because I got to talk to people who I'm just, like, so in awe of and inspired by. But it was great because it was something that, like, my first day in the office, my editor was like, hey, like, if you're bored, like, if you don't have anything to do, like, do you want to, like, send me pitches by the end of the day? And so I pitched it to her, like, my first day in the office. I could tell that she was, like, on the fence about it, didn't know about them, didn't know, like, what the whole deal was.
Right.
And it turned out to be super successful, and it was just, like, it's been interesting to see who else has written about them. Because I saw yesterday, Femsplain did a Q&A with them. And, like, I talked to them, you know, like, a month ago. So it's cool to see how, like, word is getting around about them.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, like, I follow them on Twitter, so I felt like I knew when the podcast was coming. But it's honestly so great. And I think that for them, one of the things that is so key and vital is that, like, when they interviewed, I'm honestly blanking on her name. I know that I should know it. I know it's disrespectful that I don't. But what's the mayor's wife's name?
Charlene McRae.
Yes. When they interviewed her and they talked a lot about, like, self-care and anxiety and depression and just, like, you know, overcoming all of those things and even what it's like to deal with all of that, to me that, like, expanded the landscape of their podcast. And it was kind of like, we don't just talk about X, Y, and Z. We can actually talk about whatever we want. And I think that that's so important, like, to not ever feel like you need to put barriers around yourself. But anyways, yes, you wrote a great article on them, and you're just a great writer. I enjoy reading your stuff, and you're super woke, so I had to have you on the podcast.
Thanks.
Yeah. So the first thing I really want to talk about, because like I said, I want to make sure that this is on record of how great I thought the BET Awards was.
Okay.
And I think for me, what I loved about it was that it started off so strong and it didn't really go back. Like, yes, it had its weird moments, but in general, it just has so many strong elements from Janet Jackson to Smokey Robinson. Like, you know, people even kind of shaded Nicki Minaj for, like, not really knowing what award she was accepting. But, like, I thought that was funny. you know.
Well, okay, disclaimer. Can I tell everyone my BET Award show story?
Yes. Oh my God, tell them.
So I was at home on that Sunday night, and
You were dancing pretty much to BET Awards.
Oh, I mean, as every black person should have been, black and white, and everything else.
Right.
So the only part I really watched was the part when Uncle Charlie Wilson comes out dancing, who's also from my hometown.
Oh my God. And that happened.
Wait, thank God for that.
Oh my God, and that happened too. This is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Oh, that was a great moment in my life. But anyway, so I invited one of my friends over to watch an HBO show, True Detective, and she walks in my apartment and she sees me dancing to the Bad Boy segment, and she's like, "Oh, there are BET Awards? They exist?" And I was like, "Oh, but girl." I was like,
"What?
Let me just educate you." And so then, I'm dancing to Bad Boy, and she's like, "What is this? Is that P. Diddy?" And I was like, "Oh." I almost wanted to ask her to leave so I could just experience this on my own.
I know, but you're nice though.
But yeah, and also I already had my computer set to HBO Go, so I was too late to come back.
But that I feel like just shows why it's almost like that Missy Elliott moment maybe for some people. I wonder, because remember when Missy Elliott performed at the Grammys and there were all these super young kids and they were like, "Who is she?"
Yes.
And I mean, I don't know if it had that same impact where people were kind of like, "Oh my God," because I mean, we still see Diddy all the time, but I mean, at least now she knows, and it's because of you. So,
but here's the thing that I think talking about Diddy, I would feel, I don't know, kind of remiss and not. I feel like his status in my mind has changed. Do you know when there are actors or directors or famous people and their role kind of changes?
Definitely.
Their parents, your parents knew, I don't know, Clint Eastwood as being Dirty Harry or something like that. But we think of Clint Eastwood as the old man who was arguing with Obama in a fake chair at the RNC Award, and then he did $1 Million Baby and that kind of stuff. And so I think that Puffy, or I mean whatever you want to call him, he was such a hustler and such an advocate for Bad Boy in the 90s. And I never really engaged with that, so I just listened to music when I was young. And so now I think of him as more of making the band. And so seeing him in his prime element was really moving, I thought.
I agree, because I feel like I started to watch MTV when it was my mama's gonna let me watch MTV, or I'm with my cousins and we're upstairs and we're making dances to Rock the Boat with Aaliyah. God bless, rest in peace her soul, you know. And it's that whole time of Mace, all about the Benjamins, that's when I started to know and learn about Diddy. And then if you watch the Notorious B.I.G. movie, then you kind of see the role that Diddy played in all of it. But it was no, I think that's such an interesting point, because I didn't even think about that. But yeah, I definitely knew Diddy as that hustler. And I also feel like it really spoke to how influential the 90s still is to all of us.
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
I read a really great piece on Grantland by, I think his name was Shea
Serrano.
Yeah. Did I give it to you? Because
maybe you did.
Maybe I sent it to you. But
he's a fantastic writer.
He really is. And I read it on the train and was I started honestly tearing up on the train, because he was talking about how great it was have all of them come back together. Honestly, I'm gonna not even play around right now.
Right.
When Faith Evans came out and did Love Like This,
God.
I fell out.
Oh my God.
No, but I fell the fuck out.
And she looks so good.
Because you don't even know how many times I listened to that song. People are like, "What? This is good," but what? And I'm just A, I need to find cooler friends. B, this is what's lit. This is incredible. But anyway, the whole point of his piece was that basically what it's like to watch them kind of recreate this era right now, and to experience that as someone who lived through that, but also to think that's gone, Biggie's gone, you know. So many, that era is not here anymore, and Puffy doesn't have the agency or the power that he once did. And what happens when your heroes in hip-hop kind of, I don't know, diminish in a way?
That's another really good point, because I've been thinking about that a lot lately. But we should actually get back to that, because it's going to tie into something that we're going to do later in the show.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is, so this is more recent. So I'm on Twitter, scrolling, flexing, whatever. I wasn't flexing. I'm never flexing on Twitter. And I see people kind of talking about this reporter who's going to be covering Black Twitter. So, like, my initial thoughts are, like, okay, I'm just thinking about Black Twitter and, like, what Black Twitter is. And I'm like, that's amazing, right? Like, it's really cool that the LA Times has decided that Black Twitter is so much of, is like the nucleus of so much of what Twitter is, and in my head should be, that they've decided that it's relevant enough to cover. And I saw a lot of people just kind of like debating it and questioning it, and it absolutely deserves question, because Black Twitter is essentially some form of a race beat, without question, but it's not like a political beat or an economic beat or a pop culture beat. It's like a very, very intersectional in so many ways. If you're just gonna say Black Twitter, like, that's super, super general.
Yeah.
And it was almost like, due to that, which is such a valid point, it was, I saw this tone of, well, how are they gonna do this? And what are they gonna do? And how is it gonna work? I just feel like it could have been presented in a more positive light, as opposed to already just deciding that it wasn't gonna work. There were some people who were like, I do want to see how this plays out, but it's like, it's Black Twitter. I mean, there's a dark side, there's a very serious side, there's an important side, and there's also a really funny side to Black Twitter. And I'm excited to see, like, what that's gonna look like, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm a very literal person, so I think about, like, I mean, you're being asked to essentially cover, like, the roots of tweets. That's cool to me. That's, as a young person working in media, that's, like, cool to me.
I feel that. I mean, so what was your, like, initial, I don't know, what kind of stories do you see coming out of this?
I don't know.
I don't know either,
But should we be excited, or should we just be shady about it?
I don't know how other people should feel, but I am excited. I think I'm excited, actually. This is how I feel.
Okay. Say how you feel.
I'm not going to just say, like, oh, this is, like, going to be garbage right off the bat, because I don't know that. And looking at this person, I, like, read about some of his other stuff.
His name is Dexter Thomas.
He seemed like he had a really strong background in covering, like, minority perspectives of, like, pop culture. Like, he did, like, some anime stuff, I think.
Yeah.
And, like, that's interesting to me. I don't know what kind of stories are going to come out of it. I don't know what kind of news you're going to break. I don't know who you're going to talk to or how you're going to source stuff. But I'm excited to see how this is going to turn, like, what this is going to turn into.
Right.
And also, I think that, like, Twitter is... I've been thinking a lot recently about, like, this idea of, like, humor of the oppressed. Only because, like, our school, Emerson College, like, came with this. They're doing, like, a comedy major now, and I've been thinking about, like, I've heard a lot about Jewish humor and, like, very specific forms of, like, Jewish humor. I mean, and often, like, you know, it's like Woody Allen movies and whatever, and that's, like, really interesting. I think it's, like, having a new era with, like, Judd Apatow and, like, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I think that Black Twitter is, like, its own comedy and its own kind of cycle, and it's a very easy thing to get wrong, but it's, like, incredible when you get it right. Like, Beyonce Always on Beat. Like, that was a great example of something.
Ask Rachel was, like,
yeah, oh my
the
God.
comic relief that we all needed in order to just, like, feel okay about life.
And speaking of that, I was thinking about that. Gene Dinby wrote a great thing for NPR after the Ask Rachel thing, and there's a line that was like, when, you know, people are killing and violating Black bodies, Ask Rachel was a great example of, like, this is what we should tell ourselves about ourselves. These things, like, if your mom didn't have 5 plastic bags underneath the, like, kitchen sink, then, like, you weren't Black. Like, if your uncle wasn't on the grill in a fucking Bernie Mac shirt,
right,
with, like,
and those sandals,
with the sandals,
those damn sandals,
like, you were not Black,
right?
And, like, I think that's so interesting. Like, this is going to be, because at some point, I know that these stories are important, but, like, I don't want to hear about people dying and, like, being hurt by the police, and I want to hear about
all
Black
of the
Twitter.
time. Yeah.
So,
and if you think about it, I think Ask Rachel is actually a prime example of why covering Black Twitter is so important, because it was a hashtag that represented a piece of news that was explosive, yes, number one, because Black Twitter made it explosive, but also was just explosive because of the nature of the story and the facts of the story and the bullet points of that story. And it was almost like, Ask Rachel became a part of that story.
Mm-hmm.
Because Black people are a part of that story. And because Black Twitter is a space that we created for ourselves.
That's so true.
You know, like, yeah. So that's what I think.
At the end of the day, I'm not mad at anything that gets more Black voices in the media in a responsible way.
In a responsible way. Amen to that. So good luck, Dexter. And LA Times should feel grateful to have you, and it shouldn't feel the other way around. Okay, so I want to do another segment. I want to call it like plus ones.
Okay.
So I want for each of us to name like a product. It could be anything, like a product in terms of a song, an actual product, an app, just anything that you kind of have used or experienced in some way that isn't like an event, I guess, that you kind of want to give a shout out to. I'm gonna be polite and let you go first. Have you thought about this?
Oh, you know I have.
Okay.
I came prepared.
Oh
it's
my God.
bag over there.
Okay, go get it.
Yeah, let me.
And you don't like your drink, do you?
It's a lot.
Okay. Anyways.
So, my plus one. Are we ready?
Yeah.
Oh, I should have. Okay. I should have looked up how to pronounce this, but I didn't because.
Basquiat. Oh. I don't actually know, but that's what I would say. That's what I'd use.
I'm going to say, okay, these are the clear complexion blotting linens by Boscia. Boscia. This is the thing that's changed my life the most since Blue Ivy Carter's birth. And I'm not even playing around. I got these. I went to Sephora in Times Square because I, A, hated myself and B, needed a deep conditioner.
You did hate yourself.
Oh, I hated my entire
At least
life.
at that moment.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So I went in and, like, this beautiful Black woman was helping me and just really saving my hair and my life. But I passed these in the aisle to go, and it's just like a pack of, I don't know, however many.
It's like tissue paper.
Yeah, like blotting oils. And I've heard that like these are kind of a waste of money, that you should buy like the Starbucks, that you should get the Starbucks napkins, that like they work the same way and they're free.
What?
But like let
People
me
say that?
Let me tell you.
No, bro.
Let me tell you.
No.
I'm gonna use one right now just to smell.
And I'm here as a witness.
They smell so good.
Oh, is it green
smell
tea?
So good. Yeah.
Oh my god.
So whenever I am sweating out my blowout on the train, I don't even have any like oily skin right now. I can literally pat these on my face and feel so refreshed. I mean, I feel like I exited Tina Knowles' womb. Like, that's how I'm feeling whenever I use these. Because they smell so good. And I want to leave them in my bed even to make my best. Like, you cannot even stop me when I have these.
Okay. And, I'm going to read the back of one. Okay. Also, I really actually want to keep this podcast to 30 minutes, and we're kind of meeting that goal, so props to us. Finely woven leaf fibers of the exotic Akaba tree plant are infused with complexion-clearing bamboo and willow bark extract. Ooh, this is very complicated. I don't want to read it anymore. That's all you really need to know. It smells delicious. There's no green tea, anything in it. But you know another pro tip for an NYC summer, particularly when you're walking to the train and then when you're on the train?
What up?
Wear like a thin, like one of those like kind of thin headbands, like right around your edges, like right where, I mean, if you have baby hair, then right where your baby hair and your hair meets, or if you don't have baby hair, then right where your forehead and then where your hairline meets, which is fine too, but like, it just keeps your edges laid down, and then right before you walk into the place that you're going, just whip it off. And
the baby hair, and your
edges stay
laid.
That's another thing I like. Oh, that's gonna be my like. No, I'm gonna save my other like for next week, because that's my like. Are the little, just like, not the thick headbands, but just the little elastic ones.
Yeah. That
you can put right here. And before I walk out the house, I put one of those on, and my edges are laid when I get to my destination.
I think I've seen those in your snaps.
Yeah. Last night, on Friday, I forgot to take it off, and then I was like, there's no point at this point. But you know what I mean? Yeah, so I think that's honestly the best. This is my first podcast. Hunter, thank you so much.
Thanks for inviting me, man.
I know. Maybe I'll have you back. Would you want to come back?
I'm hoping for an invite.
Okay.
I'm waiting by the phone.
Okay. Sounds good.